Listen, I've met a lot of great guys out there. I've met a lot of great guys. It's very sad, the rap industry, but we got a new guy named Boats, and he's very, very good. Yeah. It's officially the worst album of all time. Yours truly. Yeah. I just got out another rehab clinic, that's an admission. There's a lot of shit I haven't addressed, an active addiction. So come on, sit back and listen. I'm not a mathematician, but it's chalk and adding up all the plastic cups that I'm pissed in. All the staff and clinicians asking about prescriptions, having a chat about my past habits or bad decisions.
All right, we're back. Regular host, myself, Matt Fitzmaurice, and Mike Gillis from the Kowloon Comedy Club. And esteemed guest, Sean Bryan Sr., not to be confused with Junior, who's been on the show many times. Thank you for being on today, Sean.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Honor and privilege to be here.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Wish I wasn't on the wagon. You know? You guys look like you're having fun.
Well, I mean, you have a lifetime membership to this garage, so whenever you want, you're welcome to come by. The only people that don't have lifetime memberships.
Like that, will you?
Yeah.
Lifetime membership.
My son's as he's turned 16, he's been rescinded for 5 years until he's of age. So yeah, we'll just recap real quick. The comedy event was great.
Yeah,
right?
it was a great time.
By the way, I got my tickets from Shay. Shay's fighting August 16th.
Yeah.
Got 6 tickets right here.
Beautiful.
We're going to that. He looks great. Kid looks like he's ready to go.
Yeah, he does.
I can't wait for that fight. And raise some money for Dennis's nonprofit,
Yep.
which was great. Can I just say this real quick before we get into the stuff with Sean? Russo throwing gas, by the way. He was like,
best he ever was. I told him about that night.
I've seen Russo a bunch of times. I love Dave. He's been on the show. I love Russo. That guy just turned that room inside out.
He absolutely crushed.
Crushed.
I got to show him this Saturday in Knicks.
Nice.
Yeah, he's hosting me, him, and Patty Driscoll. No, Patty Gould.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Older woman, looking forward to it, you know.
You like older women?
Yeah, why not? I don't discriminate.
Loves them.
All types. All right. So, Sean, we talked the other night, and I listen to your podcast every week, Better Bad Ideas. But for everybody who doesn't know who you are, just if you're going to give a quick synopsis.
I'm Sean O'Brien. I'm General President of the Teamsters Union, representing 1.3 million working men and women, United States, Canada, Guam, and Puerto Rico. Originally from Medford, Mass, and I like long walks in the park, and I'm an Aries.
Oh, by the way, this show is sponsored by Mark Wayne Mullen Plumbing. I just wanted to say that real quick.
That guy. Yeah, that was kind of a defining moment in my life. You know, I'm in office for about 3 months, and they asked me to testify at a Senate Help Committee, and you know, it's a pretty intense venue. And you don't really know what they're going to ask you, but you know, you get to give a 15-page brief before you testify, like a week prior, and then you got to condense that 15-page brief into like a 3 to 4 minute synopsis of the actual bigger brief. So you're fair game to get questioned from any senator sitting there. And you know, my team, we do opposition research on everybody that's sitting on the panel. So like the Dems are always going to be pretty much friendlies. Republicans, you know, at that point in time, you didn't know what was going to happen. And the only person I didn't have any opposition research was on him. I'd never even heard of him, didn't know him. And then it popped off, and, you know, I'm sitting there trying to be composed. And then it's like the Medford comes out in you, and you're like, hey, buddy, I don't even fucking not talking to me that way. And we go back and forth. And it was like no one else was in the room.
Yeah.
And that was the first time. We had 2 incidents. But it was funny after... and I didn't realize how many people watch C-SPAN or pay attention to that. And then after the hearing, and I got the better of them twice, I think. And then after the first one, my mother calls me up. She's like, "Oh, nice job today." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I saw you on TV." Now I didn't know the thing went viral.
It went so viral.
And my mother's like, "Good job." I'm like, "Yeah, you think?" She's like, "Yeah, you just got us all fucking audited," because we didn't know. Like, I didn't know, but it's like anything else. Then him and I were going at it publicly for about 6 months, and then finally, his chief of staff reached out to mine, and they're like, we've got to put this to an end. Like, this isn't, because that's all they talked about. It was crazy, and but we actually sat down. We had We had a dinner one night, and he's passionate about what he believes, and I'm passionate about what I believe in, and we agree to disagree on some things, but it is what it is at the end of the day. But it's funny. I'm an MMA fighter, and I'm like, yeah, I'll fucking Irish karate. Just put your head down and go.
He's the one who said, "Get off your butt."
Yeah.
And you were like, "No, you
said,
get off your butt."
His exact words was, "Stand your butt up," and I went, "You stand your butt up." Like, really?
I saw that and I was like, Sean has ice water in his fucking veins.
Well, he started taking
because you didn't lose composure.
No,
it was unreal.
It was literally like I thought he was in a WWF ring. Like that's how he was like talking.
Yeah, it was great. And then who was it?
Bernie.
Sanders?
Bernie
was supposed to have an aneurysm.
He's like,
Yeah, he popped
It's like, wow, why not that up?
I think he popped a nitroglycerin. And but he was like, it was like getting yelled at by your father coming in like shit faced, half in the wrapper when you're 18. Cut it out.
You guys gonna stop us?
And then what's funny? Like he called me up the next day after the first one. He's like, "Hello, Sean. Did you have fun yesterday?" I go, "I had a fucking blast. How about you?" And he's like, "Oh, like it's out of hand, And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess it did, but it was fine." It was funny. He was taking when he got up to like wanting to fight. I was like sitting at a diastasis, and I'm like, "All right, I'm just gonna jump over the boards." Right? It was like hockey, and because you're in the arena, and he's taking his ring off, and I'm like, "All right, I'm not taking this off because I'm gonna crown him with it." Like, that's so he's a but he's a legit MMA, not UFC, but he trained like jujitsu and all that stuff, but. It is what it is. He's from the country. We're from the city.
Yeah. I thought it was funny because the timing of it, I think Sean Jr. had just been on, and he was like, it was before you were on. He was like, yeah, my dad's like saying he's got this Twitter beef with this guy. And like at the time, I didn't really know who you were.
Yeah.
And then like all of a sudden, I'm like scrolling through like Instagram reels, and I'm like, I don't know who he is. There it is.
It was pretty funny. But what's funny after that? Like you don't realize, you guys know this whole industry better than anybody. And the internet, social media, I was never a big social media guy, but like I'm walking through airports and because I travel all over the country right after that, and people are like, "Hey, I saw you almost fight the senator. Great job." I'm like, does anybody work? Like, what do you just watch C-SPAN all day?
Clearly.
It was fun, it was fun.
Where'd you guys go out to dinner?
Well, I live in DC and during the week, Capitol Hill. It's a small Italian place. Ironically, when we were sitting down there, walked in and talk about like walking in and, he's a stern guy. He's probably the same size as I am. And he's got cauliflower ears and he's, real religious, country guy. And he's with his chief of staff. And I walk in with mine. Like my chief of staff's from Chicago and he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Hell yeah.
And I walk in and I'm in decent shape. So it's like, I'm looking at him and he sits down. I sit down. He looks at me. He's like, "How are you?" I'm like, "Good. Let me ask you a question." I go, "You really think you can beat me?" And he like looked and he's like, he got all tense. I'm like, "I'm only kidding. We're just here to, make amends, so to speak, And his chief of staff looked like he fucking literally shit his pants. Like he was like, I thought, in his mind, I knew he was thinking like, looking at my chief of staff going, "I thought this was going to be amicable." And I was just kidding.
Yeah.
So we went to this place and two El Salvadorian brothers own it. They're great kids. Their parents came over from El Salvador, and all the parents did was work in Italian restaurants. So, like, I befriended these guys because when I went down, I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
I'm walking around. It's a small little place. And so we went there, and Mullen says to me, "You come here a lot?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I live right over there." He goes, "So do I." I'm like, "Are you shitting me?" Like, we literally live
like right next to each other?
Never ever saw each other. Because I kept saying to people, like, they're like, "Oh, he's an MMA fighter." I go, "Yeah, I'll meet him down the park in the street, like, whatever." And I'm like, literally, that probably could have happened.
Yeah.
Just we're on different time zones, But no, he's actually, we've actually worked on a couple of things together. He's never going to be a true believer in what we do, and I'm not going to be a true believer in his philosophy. But what we've been trying to do, and I think it's should be a example, especially now where everybody's in 10 different directions, like agree to disagree on what you'll never be able to come to terms with. But let's figure out how we can work together on the things that we can. And so he's actually worked together on a few things with us. It's not perfect, but it's a work in progress,
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's like, it's interesting, right? Because I listen to your podcast all the time. To get things done, you have to work bipartisan.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but it's amazing how people who are trying to get things done, a lot of them do understand that. But it's like the people who are having Thanksgiving dinner, I feel like don't. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's insane.
This last election really has, I mean, for me, and we've been through a lot of elections. I mean, I'm 53 years old, been voting since I was 18. This is the most volatile and venomous election I've ever seen in my life, because forget the candidates. It's the people that were either pro-Harris or pro-Biden-Harris, pro-Harris-Walz, and then pro-Trump and Vance. Like, friendships have been lost.
Yeah,
over this
families.
that have not. Yeah, families have nothing to do with anything. Matter of fact, today I was walking around because my beautiful girlfriend had to go to a baby shower on the nicest day in summer. Like, what asshole holds a baby shower when it's 84 degrees in Atkins, New Hampshire, of all places, right? And so I'm like, I got up early, went to the gym, went for a walk. And, you know, we live right outside, we live right in the North End. So it's beautiful outside. A childhood friend of mine texted me. He was with his wife. We were just talking about politics. And she's like, I'm a lifelong Republican. I'm like, yeah, I'm a lifelong Democrat. And I said, look, I don't want to talk politics. She goes, no, I never do either. She goes, but you know, my cousin, who was my best friend, we don't talk anymore because of this past election. I go, it really gets that bad? She's like, no, it's insane, you know? So it's funny. And it should never come down to that. Everybody should be able to have a difference of opinion, right? Speak your mind. You know, I love when I have difference of opinions with people because, look, we're not always right. And our philosophy and our thought process isn't always the correct one. I've learned, you know, the hard way over the years that, like, sometimes it's good to have a little disagreement, debate, but it should never get to a point where it gets personal.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what happened through this election. People are crazy.
Yeah. And it is interesting because it's like people get to that point where they're like, if you're not, like, they're just so, like, I'm in a couple different group texts with various friends, and some of them are Republicans, some of them are Democrats. And, like, one of my buddies is a Democrat. He's like, see, this is what happens. It's like,
Yeah.
this is not discourse. Do you know what I mean? This is not, like, you're not creating any opening for conversation.
Yeah, it drives me nuts because, you know, it's funny, and I'm a Democrat, but, you know, obviously we didn't take a position in an election. We're the most probably influential union in the country, one of the biggest, and 65% of our members were voting Republican. That probably 20 years ago, 70% of our members were voting Democrat.
Right.
So there was a whole switch. But if you look at the platform of the Democratic Party in the 90s and 2000, early 2000, the script has flipped where, you know, the Democrats and Obama deported more people than anybody, right? The Democrats were always, and you can look, the good thing about the internet is you can look back and see people's speeches from 1993, 94, 95, Hillary Clinton, 2007,
That was
8,
amazing.
when she was running, right?
Yeah.
And
I just listened to that one when you
Her-
played the clip.
yeah, her clip was exactly what Trump adopted during his campaign. So it's funny. It's like, we hate the people that are in there now, but we were the people that were there prior, you know? And it's like, it's funny when you remind people of that and they don't want to hear it. It's actually pretty comical.
The
Yeah.
thing is, people argue about this stuff. You're never going to change anyone's opinion.
No.
So what's the point of arguing about it?
No, I just, you know what I say to people?
So to break up friendships and families,
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
I just say to people, look, whoever's in there, you're going to deal with them.
Yeah.
Whether you like them,
Yep.
you don't like them, the world's not going to end.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
So let me ask you this. How does a guy go from hopping parking meters in downtown Boston and breaking his tailbone to having conversations with Donald Trump?
Another one of my finest moments, you know? That was another better bad idea, jumping that parking meter. No, look, I've been always passionate. I tell the story all the time. You know, I've idolized my father. He was my best friend, and he was a rank and file member. He never held office in our union or anything else. This guy was a grinder, man. He was a street guy, and he ran the motion picture industry. And it's not, you know, when you meet people, and of course your parents, but when you're around people, I was always wanted to be around my father. That was the guy that I wanted to emulate. That's who I wanted to be. I thought he was the smartest guy in the world. I thought he was the biggest guy in the world. I thought he was, you know, I thought he was God in my eyes, you know? And so I loved him, and him and I had this special relationship. And I've got two brothers, one older and one younger. And I just loved going to work with him. I loved, you know, going to union meetings with him. This guy is true diehard Teamster union member, 51 years. And I just loved the camaraderie. I loved going to the meetings. And these guys were like, when you go to this union meeting, Local 25 in Boston, I'm an 8-year-old kid. I remember sitting in the audience. These guys were larger than life. It looked like you were at the White House. You know, all the business agents, General President Bill McCarthy. He was a president of Local 25, later became the general president. But he was like, looking at him, it was like looking at the president of the United States talk. And I just, I fell in love with it. And I can remember being in school and what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, Johnny wants to be a doctor. Tommy wants to be a lawyer. What do you want to do? I go, I want to be a truck driver for the Teamsters Union. You know, so I just always, it was around us. It was so prevalent in our family. I mean, you would go to communions, you would go to wakes, you'd go to funerals, you would go to weddings, and all you talked about were the Teamsters Union. I mean, all my father's friends, they were all Teamsters. And the wives were all just as committed, my mother and the spouses of the others. And it was just so prevalent that, you know, we had a good life growing up. I mean, you know, whether life was good or bad, because, you know, there's times, ups and downs, peaks and valleys, that organization never, ever wavered on us. We knew that no matter how bad it was, that eventually, you know, there'd be work coming in and, you know, prospering because, you know, there was Teamsters was so strong. And I just loved it. I fell in love with it. But more importantly, I'm so loyal to it because I witnessed firsthand how good it was to many families. And I'm fourth generation. So I saw the third generation, my grandparents, and I saw how good it was. And I'm like, look, I want to like give back. This is like something that, you know, we can build upon. And so I started out at Shaughnessy and Ahern, crane company in Boston, and everybody, you know, especially when you're drinking, you know, growing up, everyone's like, oh, that girl's so fat. Like, call Shaughnessy and Ahern. Oh, that guy's so fat. God forbid he dies. He's going to have to get Shaughnessy and Ahern to get him out of there. Well, that's the company I went to work for. And I did my apprenticeship program, and I was a shop steward for the Teamsters there. And then I just progressed up. I was the youngest president of Local 25 at 33. I was the youngest member of the general executive board at 39, meaning I had a seat at the big table in Washington. So I just progressively moved up. And then when I started to notice that the International Union wasn't going in the right direction under the previous administration, you know, again, I'm passionate about it. I'm loyal to the organization, and I want to see the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th generation. You know, we made a bold move and came out and decided to run against, we were going to run against the previous administration. They pretty much left, but sponsored and built a successor program that we weren't buying into. So we beat them 3-1.
Wow.
It's awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
And that was Hoffa, right?
Hoffa Jr. Hoffa Sr. was the man. I mean, a few days ago, not that you celebrate it, but it was the 50th anniversary of his disappearance. And it was a shame because that guy, not only the Teamsters Union, but the labor movement, he was the real deal. And, you know, his son, you know, he was my boss for a while, but he was born on third base and actually thinks he hit a triple to get there. But, you know, you can't focus on the past, just got to focus on the future.
Yeah.
Unreal saying.
Yeah.
Born on
Oh,
third.
speaking of unreal sayings, though, you just had an episode with your buddies, right? So it was like Hat, your brother,
And Buck.
and Buck. And
You torture your poor brother.
The kid asked for it. Listen, you try sharing a room with that asshole for 18 years. I mean, literally, our beds touched each other. And the kid was nuts. He's been nuts his whole life. I love him, but he's crazy.
but I like, you know, I've heard a lot of them, Punch in the Cloud. I like to use Crack and Stick. I hadn't heard Roughing Up the Suspect.
That was the best.
Oh, yeah.
I had not heard that expression yet.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Been logged in, though.
You know, if that was like a crime, roughing up the suspect, my brother Michael would beat the case because of lack of evidence. I love you, Mike, by the way. So you definitely were not gifted.
All right, so
I mean, there's a reason why we called him Light Switch.
he's gonna love that. We'll clip it, and put it on the internet.
Oh yeah.
So I've been listening, like I said, a lot intently. You've had Justine Baby on 3 times, is that right?
Yeah. She's great. She's awesome.
Yeah. So there's a lot of talk about the AI stuff, right?
Yeah.
And how that's going to affect the movie industry. And obviously, you guys have a large vested interest in what happens in the movie industry, right?
We do, yep. And it's not just because Teamsters work in the movie industry or other unions like IATSE, there's electricians, there's laborers, there's a bunch of different unions that work behind the scenes in these productions. But there's also another component that people don't really focus in on. It's the indirect spending that goes on when a motion picture films in your area. You know, you think about, and these, you know, if you're smart about it, especially in the big cities like Boston, New York, Atlanta, L.A., most of the people that come in, they know that they want to use a local lumberyard where they can set up an account. They're going to buy fuel. They're going to buy food. They're going to go to restaurants. They're going to go to hotels, right? Because the motion picture industry it's like, I always describe it, it's a carnival. It's a mobile show that you can take from point A to point B. But there's a really indirect value of spending that goes on outside of the normal unions and folks that depend upon it to make a living. So it's an industry that, you know, we're fighting hard to keep in the United States, and AI is a huge threat, and technology, you know, outside of AI, because, you know, look, think about it. You can make Paris, France, or masquerade Paris, France as New York City.
Yeah.
Or anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, we did a movie here in Boston in 2007 or 8. It was a Pink Panther. They made Chelsea look like France.
That's a tough thing
That's
to
crazy.
do.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, what is easy one to do? They made the movie Detroit, which was based upon the
Right down the
riot.
street.
You know where they did it? They did it in Brockton. Right? Not hard, you know? And I love Brockton. Brockton always had the great football players, but I was testifying before a hearing. And of course, I use that analogy. Look, we're open for business. We got the tax incentive, which we got passed in 2006. And then conversely, there was always part of the budget where it was threatened, but Charlie Baker signed it into perpetuity before he left. Republican, by the way, good guy. And I'm testifying before the Senate hearing on it in Massachusetts. And I'm like, we're ready for business. We've proven, you know, we can do the work. We made Chelsea look like Paris, France, or the Pink Panther. And then the state rep from Brockton goes, and you also made Brockton look like Detroit when they filmed the movie Detroit here. I'm like, good point.
They filmed a part of that movie right near 621. There's a hotel right there.
Yeah.
And they dug up this hotel. It's a motel, not even a hotel. And they dug up the parking lot.
What was the name of the motel?
Couldn't tell you. It's right across from the Moose.
Don't say you don't know what
I don't
it
know
is.
the name of the motel.
You know you paid the $25 back in the day. Or 25
Town Line
it was
Inn.
probably $10 an hour.
Yeah, it wasn't Town Line
You
Inn.
know, to
But
take some beauty queen from
Classy
wherever.
joint that charges
Yeah,
by the
yeah,
hour.
You go in and have to take the mirror off, make sure no one's watching.
Yeah. But they dug up the parking lot in the front and they put an in-ground pool for a movie or a part of the movie.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. What
And
they
then
spend.
2 days later, they filled it in with concrete. And like
Yeah.
these poor people that were living in the motel were like, guys, we got an in-ground pool. And then you
Yeah.
wake up and it's just tar.
It's crazy, you know.
Yeah,
Crazy.
they shot that Christmas movie in Melrose, part of it, with Will Ferrell and I don't know, the other, the guy who plays Dead, whatever his name is. Deadpool. I think,
Ryan Reynolds?
yeah, I think so. And they filmed it at this guy, I know his house. And
Yeah.
and he was like, he's like, they came in, they were like, can we, he's got a huge house down the street, old Victorian. And they're like, hey, we want to take out the center. It's a double garage, the center thing. And they're like, okay. And they're like, we'll give you 40 grand.
That's amazing.
And then we'll put it back in. And he's like, go for it. Like, yeah, do it.
Deal.
Yes.
you
Do
probably
it.
would have did it for 4,000.
Yeah,
no shit.
Yeah, I don't think he would even like ask for anything.
Crazy.
But the AI stuff fascinates me. I spent a lot of time kind of researching it and thinking about it. She made some great points. Like I've said to a bunch of people, been like, listen to these episodes.
Yeah, well, think about this, right? I mean, she said on the show, which I never really thought about, they can take, you know, an actor or an actress who's been dead and recreate them in present time and film a movie. So how does that help aspiring actors and actresses, right? They can also, like writing, think about the writers. And, you know, we supported both of their strikes. They kind of ran concurrently, the actors and the screenwriters, right? And, you know, you think about technology now where writers, the creativity, you can put in one of these AI programs and, you know, tell what you want and it's going to spit it out. So it's actually frightening. But thankfully, you know, the industry has been vigilant as far as, well, the unions have been vigilant and, you know, putting protections in there. But I tell you, like, it's scary all around. You think about not only the motion picture industry, but you think about doctors, right? You go to your doctor, you trust that doctor with your life, right? But there's only so much they can diagnose based upon their experience and their education. Now, there's arguments that AI will be able to diagnose even further, like would actually be able to actually read, X-rays or CAT scans and do a further deep dive, which probably at some point could replace a function and or dummy down and de-skill some of those jobs. Lawyers, I mean, lawyers, all they do is research and arguments and formulate arguments and all this other stuff. Like, that's another. So you're going to see a big shift where it's going to be a threat. Everything that went bad in this country last 30 years, technology, whatever, was a threat to blue collar jobs, right? Now you're going to see, as a result of this appetite for convenience and efficiency through technology, whether it's AI or whether it's robots or driverless vehicles, you're going to see more of an attack on the white collar jobs. I mean, think about what you do, right?
Sure.
You do all research,
and
you make references, right? Well, you could be replaced by AI, right? Where someone just submits a resume and AI doesn't do any due diligence like you do, spits out, 10 names. Here you go.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's for sure. But it's funny, right? Because you think about, we had a guy on the show a couple weeks ago, was a really funny guy, but he was Joey Boats. He was saying, like, I don't know who's saying this is going to be good. That's the thing. And the more I think about it, the more I research it, it's like the guys who are creating this in general, I'm generalizing, right? But like, computer programmers by and large probably aren't guys who like were at the Hop in '97. Do you know what I mean? Like,
no.
So like they're less social people. Like,
you don't want to check their browsers either.
No.
They're probably some freak that lives in their mother's basement that's in love with a fake like 12-year-old Taiwanese boy somewhere,
But people thirst, like regular people thirst for like human engagement, like they do. Like, and I do think people will see the problem. The other thing is, say you have, all right, say
well, look at this one. You made an awesome point right there. Think about it. COVID.
Yep.
You look at the kids, like my kids' age, 24, 21, and everybody in between, probably like 16 right now. They weren't allowed to go to school. They weren't allowed really to hang out with their friends. And you look at the mental illness or the mental issues going on, not so much illness, but the issues, the depression, the anxiety. That was a result of not being able, and there's studies on this, not being able to interact, like you said, with their peer group. And then you see the emergence of this technology where everybody's heads are buried in their phones and they're not going to your traditional library. I'm like astounded how people like will not take the time to actually do a little research. Like if you said to our kids, go to the library, look up the periodicals and see what happened, they'll be like, what? Like they'll go right on their phone and ask Siri or whatever. It's like, it's already dummied down the society so much.
Yeah,
100%.
A perfect example is those kids that weren't allowed to go to school. And look, our kids weren't going to school. They were on a laptop, like laying in bed, and they weren't getting graded. I mean, the teachers had a tough time through the whole thing. And it's like some of these kids got such a pass where, instead of actually having to go actually look for a solution to a problem, they were on their phone just saying, I did it today when I lost all my contacts on my phone, and I'm a hypocrite. And I'm like, Googling, lost all my contacts on my iPhone. Bang, spits out like a solution that doesn't even work.
The craziest.
And then I have to walk down, and we're getting off topic here, but it fucking drives me nuts. Then I walk to the end of our street, and my girlfriend, Christine Lynch, who is the smartest person I know, I'm like, I'm going to this Verizon store because I don't want to waste a day. I go in there and I say to the kid, hey, I lost all my contacts, blah, 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 blah. And the kid looks like, not your typical guy that was at the Hop in 97, right?
Yeah.
He says, well, I got to shut your phone off and put it back on. I said, I did that 1,000 fucking times. Like, I wish every problem got solved like that. Just shut it off and restart it. Yeah. It would be awesome, but it's just like, I don't know. It's scary.
Yeah.
That's always their solution. And going back to Google results is now all
AI.
First thing is AI generated.
Yeah.
You got to like scroll to find like actual articles and stuff like that. The whole thing, the first page is AI.
Yeah, I was having this conversation with my daughter. She's a freshman. Oh, she's gonna be a sophomore at University of South Carolina. She's very smart. She went to MC. She was like all on a roll.
Great school, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank God they
great
allowed girls in there because, well, the young ladies, can't say girls. I don't think that's politically correct anymore.
There's not a lot of political
young ladies in there because it was always suspect. I know a couple of my friends that went there and I'd be like, you really went to an all boys school? Like,
I went to BC High freshman year.
oh
Yeah,
my
I was
good
gonna
God.
say I don't have to say the
Oh,
poem. I'm
my
not gonna
good
say the
God.
poem, but I think everybody knows
I still
it.
can't believe that you went there. Like,
Well-
it just doesn't make sense.
So I
Where'd you graduate high school?
Somerville,
Oh, that must have been a 5-year program, right?
class of 2000.
Best 5 years of your life.
So I went to BC High freshman year, right? And I remember like halfway through the year, I'm like, Mom, and now she was a single mother. I'm like, Mom, did you pay for next year? And she goes, I don't know if you realize we're dirt poor. I can't pay for shit. And I was like, all right, well, good, because I don't want to go back there.
that'd be
It
tough,
sucks.
tough.
It's all South
Somerville
Shore.
High was awesome. Right?
Somerville High was great. I loved it.
I love Method High. Method High, I graduated in 90, so I'm 10 years older than you. It was the best 4 years of my life. I'll be honest with you. I remember, remember you're a kid and your parents going, you wait. Once you're out of school, you're going to wish you were back there. I got to be honest with you, the fall after I graduated, I wanted to chain myself to the building and say, let me back in. I mean, that was the best 4 years of my life. It was training day. Every day there was chaos.
Yes.
Every day there was some fight going on with someone. And it was like 3 buildings, A, B, and C. Do you remember the overpasses? So we had overpasses connecting the building. It looked like an institution. Like if
Yeah.
you go to Medford High right now, it looks like a mini Bill Ricker House of Correction. And it was like chaos, but it was the best time of my life. It
I
really
loved
was.
it. I love
High
Somerville
school was
High.
awesome.
And then I went from Somerville High to St. Anselm's
Oh yeah.
in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Well, that was like you had all Medford, Somerville.
Yeah, Jesuit school.
Yeah.
I was not prepared for that. I was not.
Did you graduate from
No,
that? No.
no.
You,
But
so you,
anyways-
you were there for a cup of coffee?
Yeah.
I was there for a
Quick
year and a
stop.
half. I finished my sophomore semester, and I was like, they were like, you might want to think about
Your mother was like-
reassessing what you're doing
Your
here.
mother was like, everybody needs electricians.
Yeah. Yeah. So then I went to electrical school.
That's great.
But going back to that, my daughter was like, I was like, how much are kids using the AI in college? And she's like, a lot of them use it all the time. She's like, she's on a scholarship. She gets great grades, like I said. She's like, but she has some school loans because I have 3 kids. Like, I'm like, I remember the first time she asked me, she's like, you didn't save for all school? I'm like, I didn't save $1 million. I actually forgot. I was like, I meant to save $1 million, but I forgot.
My
actually.
bad.
Yeah. So, anyways, but she's like, I'm not gonna be paying back a school loan to like Google AI shit. Like, she's like, I'm there to like get my money's worth out of the place. You know what I mean? Now she's an aberration. Like Brendan Ahern, early Brendan Ahern would be like, what are we talking about here? Like, what do we got on the side? We got some AI action? Like, get me in on that, you know?
You guys would find it turn into like a bookie operation.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, I found those episodes to be like captivating.
Yeah, she's very brilliant. Now, funny thing about her is like she's a behind the scenes person. She's not an actress anymore, but she saw the industry changing, and she went back and got her computer science degree so she could actually understand what it was all about. I think she graduated 2016 because look, she's very passionate about the industry. When you hear her talk about it, you know, she started this whole program about, you know, funding films that don't utilize AI. Credo 23 it's called, and we've supported that as well. But it's, you know, it wasn't something like she's just against it to be against it. Like she actually went and studied the computer science of it. So, you know, she's pretty accurate in what she's saying. And, you know, I met her on a picking line during one of the strikes in LA, and we just hit it off as far as, you know, when we started talking, and she's been great. She's a good person and very, very passionate about the industry and protecting against from technology. Yeah. Look, we all know technology is here. It's coming, but there's a way to actually implement it and create jobs without you know, demoralizing or deminimizing jobs.
Yeah. I also have to say, as an aside, as you said, we've had your son on the show 4 times, maybe 5 times.
Something like that.
He's a regular bullpen guy when like we just need somebody who's good at hanging out. You
Call him up
did a
for
great
the
job
minors.
raising that kid because he's like an old soul.
Yeah, I got to tell you, like, he is great.
Joey too.
Yeah, Joe. I mean, I've lucked out. My ex-wife and I, and my mother had a lot to do with, you know, bringing him up because I was working all the time. But we always lived in the same neighborhood, even though, like, I got divorced when they were 9 and 6, I think it was. But, you know, one thing was we always were going to co-parent together and have each other's backs when we're parenting. But, you know, they were brought up. You know, my mother's a very, very strong person. She has been very influential in their lives. And we're small family, but we're pretty close. And, you know, they had the opportunity to know my father for like 9-10 years of their life. So, you know, like the impression that I have of my father, they were able to have that as well. and the work ethic, we're always working, we're doing the right thing or trying to do the right thing, has helped. But I got to be honest with you, you don't know what your kids are going to do. You can be the best parents in the world and your kids could turn out to be shitheads, or you can be the worst parents in the world and your kids could turn out to be great. I mean, you just don't know. And there's a certain point in time, and I always tell people, like, I love when people go, oh, that wouldn't be my kid. Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know. You really don't. Like, you just hope and pray that they make good decisions. And I tell them all the time now, even I'm more worried about when they get in their 30s, you're one bad decision from screwing up your life.
Sure.
And, I complain, I'm like, that little bastard Joey. I always tell people, they say, what are your sons like? I said, my older son's a blue collar old soul. What's your younger son like? I go, he thinks he's a fucking Kardashian. Like Lululemon this. And, he said to me one day, Dad, we have money, right? I'm like, no, we don't have anything. I said, there's no we. It's me and you. And he was like, so Sean, I'll give you a quick story. Sean goes in the plumbers union right out of high school, knew he didn't want to go to college. And, got in there. I'm not sure plumbing's his passion, right? But,
Sure.
He's been through the apprenticeship program. Hopefully Gillis is going to convince him to get his license, right?
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
he's eligible soon. And so, we always try and want to give our kids everything we can. And mine was a lot of times out of guilt because I wasn't around, just working all the time, traveling. So I called Sean up one day and I go, hey, meet me down at the Ford place in Medford. Why? I go, I got a surprise. So now I bought him a vehicle when he got his license. Nothing special, just something he can hit, smash up, and learn how to drive on. So he comes down and I'm like, how do you like this car? He goes, I like it. I go, well, it's yours. I just bought it for you. You did? Why? I go, oh, you're a great kid. I love you. You're awesome, I really love you. He goes, no, seriously, why'd you buy it for me? I go, honestly, the way I look at it, if you went to college, it would have cost me $40,000 a year. You just saved me 160. So the way I look at it, I give you 30, right, for the car. He goes, yeah, that's what I thought. Now the other kid, I buy him a car when he gets his license, and he's very fortunate. He's under a program where he's got some grants and everything. So it's not, college isn't costing us much, right? And so he's a little bastard. Like he said, I'm very grateful for the car, but the way I look at it, because of hockey, you're not really paying a whole lot for me to go to college. He says, I figured when I go to school, it's $70,000 a year. So, that's $280,000 I'm saving you in 4 years. So
He's saving you.
he goes, what do you think about a G-Wagon for me?
Fucking Joey, huh?
Oh, yeah.
How old's he?
He's 21. Yeah. He's my penance in life. Like, and my mother's funny. She's like, you guys are responsible for him the way he is. I'm like, responsible? She goes, yeah, he ran that house since he was little. I go, yeah, and he did. I used to just give him shit. Just go away. I don't even want to listen to you. Please, just here, get away. But he's a good kid, very lucky, very fortunate. And we complain about, costing money. Things cost us money, but I always tell people it's better than paying for rehabs and lawyers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
After meeting Sean, I met Sean and I started talking to him. I was like, and then he told
He
me.
reminds me a little bit about you, big guy.
He told me how old he was,
Yeah.
and I was like, no fucking chance.
Yeah.
I thought he was 10 years older.
Dude,
Not by looks, but just by how he acts.
How he composes himself.
Do you remember the last time he came in here and he was like, I got my fucking favorite song stuck in my head. And I'm like, what is it? He's like, Dire Straits. I'm like, what are we fucking talking about?
Yeah, he's just always been that kid. He always lit up a room, and he had such a good personality. Don't get me wrong, he gets nasty when he needs to, but he's type 1 diabetic, got dealt that blow when he was 9 years old, and never ever use it as an excuse for anything, and
Made some funny comedy out of it. Sean did.
yeah, he does, yeah. I mean, that guy he describes yelling, stop being a pussy, just toughen up. That's me, But
It's funny because there's we have, like, I'm the oldest obviously out of all these guys. I'm 48, and
I'm the oldest out of all of us right now.
perfect.
53.
There's no difference at that point.
Oh.
But one of the guys that we're friends with called me one day. And he's like, all right. He's like, you got to choose one of the regular guests on the podcast to marry your oldest daughter, but it can't be Sean O'Brien because that's too easy. I'm like, dude, everybody else is like a 38-year-old degenerate. Like, like it's not an answer. Like, you know what I mean?
Legitimate kids all over the place and shit.
Yeah, like that's not an answer. It's definitely not going to be like.
No, we actually, Christine and I try and marry him off a lot, don't we? I mean, it's like, and there's other people like, oh, I want my daughter to date your son. And I'm like, yeah, I just hopefully you guys have money because I'm old fashioned. I want the girl's family to pay for the wedding.
Oh, of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm
100%.
still old fashioned, you know.
So you had Vivek on last, was this most recent episode,
Vivek
correct?
Ramaswamy, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great interview.
Yeah, no, he's a Republican, very, very intelligent human being. And it's funny, you look at him and you would think his thought process is completely different than it actually is. You know, he's not a woke person. He doesn't support woke. He, first generation American. He is a card carrying Republican. You know, but he's very, very successful guy. I mean, he went to, I think he went to Harvard undergrad.
Yeah.
And then he went to Columbia Law, I
Yeah.
believe. And while he was at Harvard, he started a hedge fund or something. And he became a millionaire while he was at Harvard before he graduated. Then he decided to go to law school, and he's just one of those business guys. However, he does recognize, and I prodded him a little bit because some of the decisions he made when he was at Harvard, he wrote an op-ed that wasn't favorable to working people, and I called him right out on it. And he said, "No, listen. We do things when we're younger that we really don't believe in, but we were looking for a cause, and it seemed like it was and I said, what seemed like it was a bad idea back then, right?" And he said, "No," and he said all the right things. The only thing that we disagreed with on labor, because he endorses labor, he endorses collective bargaining, doesn't support right to work, he does support a livable wage, but he has this thing with the teachers union. And he went to a Catholic school, believe it or not, Hindu Indian. And the one thing we disagreed on was a couple things, and I pushed him hard on. One was, I'm a huge fan of public schools. I'm a huge fan of public school teachers. I'm a huge fan of collective bargaining for teachers. And he's an intellect, right? So he thinks he's the smartest guy in the world. He thinks he knows everything. Well, not everybody has those talents and or gifts that you were given.
Sure.
So, it's easy for him to stay there and critique. And he talked about, well, during COVID, the teachers didn't want to go back to work. I'm like, they couldn't go back to work because the people that were making the decisions, COVID, federal level and state level, they didn't want people going back to work. They didn't want teachers going back to work. And some of the teachers, wanted to go back to work. And there was a big debate on this. And he said, well, the Catholic school teachers, they went back to work. I go, of course they did. It's a business. They're making money.
Yeah.
Right? The Catholic
they
Church.
have to.
I went to Catholic school, junior high. It was all about your tuition. And, I'm going to Catholic school in the early, mid 80s, mid 80s, right? And if your mother didn't work, my mother didn't work bingo on Wednesday night, guess what? We got assessed a penalty for not paying for that. So that's the difference, and we went back and forth, but then at the end of it, I convinced him, you need to go talk to these teachers. You need to go talk to the teachers union. If you're running for governor in Ohio and you got support of all the unions there, which I'm not sure he does or he doesn't, this is a conversation you have. Maybe you can, get an idea or give them an idea on what they need to be doing differently and embrace, some dialogue, whether you agree with it or you don't. So hopefully he does that. But ironically, as you know, as a result of that, and he got a ton of, I think we got like 100,000 views on one of the social media platforms on one of the shorts. His opponent, who's a Democrat, she called and she wants to go on she's going on the podcast in 2 weeks when we're in Ohio.
Nice.
So
That's awesome.
yeah, it's pretty cool. It's good, but very smart guy. Yeah, he's.
It's funny when
so
you
I was
brought up the
pushing him
Harvard
on-
thing. He
Oh,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
he was like, whoa. He's like, you did your research, huh?
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah,
oh, shit, I wasn't
a-
expecting this.
And I told him it wasn't AI generated either. It was old school Google.
Yeah.
Is he a little guy?
He's taller. He's probably 6 feet.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's not
I always
big.
thought he was little.
He's not big in stature. Well, you know what? You're stereotyping Hindu Indians. You know what I mean? Really?
Man, it's
Really?
rude.
Well, Danny did decide to do the first 5 minutes of his act on Asians at
Yeah, the
Cowboy
whites
Restaurant.
loved it. The help, not so
Oh,
much.
I gotta tell you, right? When Dave Russo was doing his, he's hilarious, by far hilarious. One of the funniest guys
Yeah.
ever. That guy should be in Hollywood. And when there was an Asian photographer there, and we were sitting at the table. Do you remember this? We're sitting at the table, right? And he's telling these Asian jokes. He's hilarious. This guy looked like the Asian version of Ivan Drago from Rocky IV.
Yeah, he's a tall
He's a big
dude.
dude.
He was tall, like
Yeah.
6'2". He was sitting there like this. And everybody's laughing, and the guy's not even cracking a smile. And
Stone face.
at one point, the guy's like looking at his camera and he's sitting behind where Dave Russo is. And Dave cracks a funny fucking Asian joke, right? And the guy goes, doesn't even.
Yeah, I saw that.
You know, I was like,
I
oh
was
my
focused
God.
on that dude, the photographer.
Wow.
The
How
whole
can you
time,
not be?
the whole time Danny's doing his first intro.
Yeah.
And I was like, look at this guy, just deadpan, still snapping pictures.
Oh, yeah.
You got a great picture. You
got a couple of them.
squatting down up on the stage.
You know what's funny though? Think about probably for me and you more than anybody. And Danny, you're probably the youngest. What are you, 40?
I'll be 38 this
All
month.
right, you're 38, and Fitzo's 40.
10 years ago,
right?
you're 43.
So you think about the comedians back then.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Right? Richard Pryor, George Carlin, Robin Williams. They could say anything they wanted about anything, you know, especially race, sexual orientation. No one ever took it personal.
No.
Yeah.
Now
Not-
it's
we're
like,
not
as a
supposed to.
comedian, man, I mean, I tell
It's a
Sean
joke.
I tell Sean all the time, I'm like, you know, a couple things, Sean. I go, you got to be very careful of what you say and who you say it about and where you're at when you're saying it, because you got to be cognizant of your audience. And I said, because it's a different time, different. I tell this story too. It was like in Medford, there used to be Medford Square. There was this place called the Record Box, right? And my brother Billy hoodwinked me into this one. He's a couple of years older than me. And we were in the Record Box and we're looking at, and we just go out, you get some money, you'd walk down to Medford Square and you grab like, they didn't have CDs, it was cassettes. And he's like, oh, buy that one. That's good. You'll like that. Eddie Murphy, Delirious, right? Now, I never knew who Eddie Murphy was. I was probably in like 6th grade. And my mother and father were eating dinner, which, you know, back then we used to eat dinner when my father came home from work. Every couple of days, it wasn't consistent. But what'd you do today? Oh, I got a cassette down the Record Box, comedian Eddie Murphy. Like, my mother puts it on.
Oh, boy.
And all of a sudden, my father was a man of very few words. And he like, what the went out of his mind, right? And I'm looking at my brother like, my big brother, save me over here. You set me up for this one, right?
Failure.
Oh my God. My mother took that tape, ripped it apart, threw it away. Oh, but the comedy back then was funny. I mean, I think what put him over the edge is when he did the Mr. T,
Oh, yeah.
the gay Mr. T.
Yeah.
Like that set him off, like my father. And I never we didn't know, but
Yeah.
that was, but my point is like, no one ever took it personal. The shit
No.
that was
No.
said,
No,
you know?
I remember
because it was a joke.
Yeah.
similar story. We were drinking all night one night. We were in high school with my buddy Dave, like, who one of my best friends. We go out to lunch later that day, the next day, and I'm like, oh man, I'm a little hungover. And he's like, I had the fucking worst morning. I'm like, why? He's like, his mother found all his rap tapes.
Oh,
It was
no
like
kidding.
NWA and stuff. He goes, so I wake up and I'm like, all I can hear is like stomping. He goes, I look over and she's fucking smashing all his tapes. And she goes, women are not objects in this house. And he's like, Jesus
So he
fucking
got
Christ.
Me Too'd way back when.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, wasn't even his music, you know.
One of my
Really
first cassettes was Dr. Dre, The Chronic.
Yep.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
And
Big weed
I was
leaf on
in-
the cover.
yeah, and I was in. I was,
Oh, wow.
I was
Yippee,
in
yippee.
Sears, right? Back when Sears was a thing, and it came in that big
Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
anti-
yeah.
cassettes like this
Like that
big, but it's got
strawberry-
that
Oh, yeah,
fat
yeah,
plastic
yeah.
thing. So I'm in there with my father, and I was like, Dad, this
Were
is
you
the guy we
were you
listen
guys
to.
putting layaway for school?
Oh,
100%.
Oh, yeah.
We
Service
talked about
merchandise,
layaway
baby.
today.
Bradley's.
Oh, yeah, home run. There
We'd
was
be
no,
like, oh, we're gonna get this, but we can't pick it up until like 3 weeks from now.
hey, your mother takes you school shopping in June, and then you gain like 30 pounds. And
Yeah, nothing
nothing
fits.
fits.
So he buys me the Chronic, right? And
Who bought it, your father?
My father. My
Did
father.
your father smoke the Chronic?
No, so my father loved old school R&B.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like we would hear Dr. Dre come on, like if it was jamming back then, I don't even know if it was 94.5. It was whatever played like
The
rap
samples
music,
are back.
right? But he would hear the hooks that he knew, the samples that he knew.
Is your father still with us?
No, he died in 94.
How old was he when he died?
He was my age, 43. I
Oh,
was
wow.
12. So he bought it for me and we took it home. And then my mother ends up hearing it. And she's like, Fitzy, why did you buy this for the kid? It says parental advisory right on the fucking cover. And he was like, I don't know, it's good music.
I was a parent. I was,
Like,
I was
it's
a
good
parent. I
music.
was with him.
Yeah.
I'm a parent.
I was the
with
one
him.
who had to buy it. He
Oh,
couldn't
my
afford
God.
it and he wasn't old
Your
enough.
father must have jammed out to Rick James.
He loved Earth, Wind and Fire.
Oh, yeah.
And like all the old school, like real R&B shit. And my mother was big into that too, but once the swears were in that music,
See,
she was
I
like,
feel like you were
gotta
talking
chill out."
about it on your show about the one with your buddies and you had your mother's voice on the phone.
She's still
Like, I honestly feel like if every kid in America was raised by a New England woman in the general Boston area, like a strong-willed one, like the world would be a much better place.
So
in general.
Easily.
my mother, like she's brought her 3 younger brothers up in the projects in Charlestown. She brought 3 boys up. You know, basically my father worked all the time. She ran the show, and then we got 5 grandsons, my 2 brothers and I, right?
Yeah.
So they're all close in age. So she like runs as a roost. She always did. And I was doing a podcast with Jack O'Callahan, Mike Ruzioni, and Dave Silk. Now Jack's mother and my mother grew up together, and his mother's a little bit was older. But we were talking about our mothers, and I said, my mother's a Charlestown woman. I said, you ever notice, you know, my mother has a haircut. It's short and angry, right? And that's what it is. But
Yeah.
she's pissed right now at me because she didn't know that I had her on the podcast.
Oh, she didn't know?
I cold called her.
Yeah, yeah.
And we edited a lot of stuff out that you know, if it was ever heard, it wouldn't have been good. But she was like, I'm getting secondhand information. She's not thrilled with what we did. She actually told my brother Michael, "You and your brother are embarrassing," you know, because we didn't give her the heads up. But she'll get over it. We love her.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
I think the world could do with more people being raised by
Oh,
these
you
type of
talk
women.
about Joey, right? Like my mother used to watch Joey on Wednesdays and Thursdays, Wednesdays and Fridays. Joey and Sean, like 4 to 8. And I'd pick him up on my way home from work, and Joey had a fresh mouth since he could talk, like fresh. And so he's like 3 years old, and he gets in the car and he's like, and he had a scowl on his face. My mother's like, he was a bastard all day today, a little bastard. And my mother used to swear and everything in front of him because not Sean, she loves Sean. Like Sean does no wrong in her eyes.
Yeah.
But Joey's like, gets in the car and he's like, got a scowl. I go, what's wrong with you? He's like, Nanny's mean. I go, why? He goes, she washed my mouth out with a bar of soap.
Hell yeah.
And I'm like, what'd you say? I said, shit. And I'm like, of course she is. So I call her up. I'm like, hey, did you wash it? She goes, that kid's got a fresh mouth. I'm done with him. You people let him get away with murder. He's not going to do that in my house. Oh, it's hilarious. But you're right. I mean, these kids now, not even so much now, but you say the wrong thing. They call 911 or they call a social worker. It's insane.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
You know?
Luckily, I think that drove the fear of God into me. Like my mother, like she would just point at me with like her finger that was broken from like getting hit with 16,000 softballs, but being a coach.
Yeah.
And she'd be like, "You listen to me," and I'm like, "I'm fucking paying attention right now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm paying attention."
Yeah. We weren't like my mother would say occasionally, wait till your father gets home. We're like, oh, I can't wait. It's going to be easy. Remember, what was his name? Who was the guy that got from the Vikings that,
Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson, right?
Yeah.
Like, guy should have never hit his kid the way he did. What do they call that?
Switch.
All right, so switch. Yeah, my mother had couple switches,
Yeah.
right? If they ever witnessed, like, the discipline my mother threw down, which was good for us,
Yeah.
she would have been getting out of Framingham like 30 years later. Because I mean, she had these like you've seen them in houses, right? The big the wooden spoon and fork.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know
Take
you're
them
talking
off the
about. Yeah,
wall.
yeah, yeah.
Like again, but it got to a point where you'd be laughing so hard because the harder you laugh, the harder she swung.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, it was crazy.
By
But
the way, that's a lost item in houses these days. Everybody's
We
house
all
in
had
the
it.
80s had this huge fork
Yeah,
and
yeah.
spoon.
Just hanging.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna bring it back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a couple of those in
you
here.
gotta put them in here. If I find one, we'll look online.
Yeah.
We'll hang them in.
Definitely,
We'll get
yeah.
you can hang it in here. You know, you got a lot of good shit in there.
Yeah, it's a work in progress always. It's a rotating art exhibit. All right, we're gonna do a few ads and then we'll do a couple more things. Then we'll let Sean get on his merry way. He's a busy man. You want to do Bella's roast beef?
Yeah. Bella's Roast Beef, 1211 Osgood Street. That's in North Andover. BellasNA.com stands for North Andover, Non-Narcotics Anonymous. As you know, the reigning champions of Beef Madness. Harry, Sandra, the whole team up there, they take care of us. Go up there and say that we sell them.
Ben Franklin Print Company, benfranklinprintco.com. By the way, we have the last size XL golf t-shirt, softer than a baby's ass, ready for Sean to take home with him. They do the best stuff. They'll help you design the stuff. If you tell them you're a corker, and they give you like 10% off. Joe's the best. Ask for him. He's done like sweatshirts for Josh, garage ones. He does everything's great. Success Lift, my buddy Brian Panuzzo. By the way, this would fit. Sean O'Brien's in great shape, by the way. My buddy Brian Panuzzo is a personal trainer. He gets guys in shape. Bob C, union electrician, by the way.
Yeah.
Bob C went down 50 pounds. He's ripped now because of working with Brian. So talk to us about that. We're missing something, Danny.
Are we?
Maybe. Could be. Rotating.
It'll come to us.
It'll come to us, yeah.
Who are we missing, Fitz? Anybody?
Oh, Misguided Spirits,
Misguided.
yeah. By the way, employee-owned organization, Misguided Spirits. They make whiskeys. They make craft vodkas. They're out in New York City. They're all over the world now. Our guy James is the best. So they got the Hinky Dinks whiskey. They got the crooked stick vodka. That's what we serve in this bar. As I said, you can black out off of it. I have done that. Danny saved my life that night in East Boston. That's a fact. So, all right. So going back to it. So Sean, like, how much travel are you doing? Like, you gave us a little glimpse when you walked in today.
Yeah. I do. I travel a significant amount. And the reason why we travel so much is, I've got the privilege and honor to represent 1.3 million working men and women. And we represent everybody from airline pilots to zookeepers, everybody in between. And the thing that I've learned the most, you take everything from your experiences at home when you go up to, and I say Washington's like the big show, right? I could do one or two things. I could sit in my office every single day and talk to people via the phone or deal with politicians, and you really don't get a good gauge of what's going on there on behalf of your members. So what we try and do, my partner and I, Fred Zuckerman, my number 2 guy, General Secretary Treasurer, we try and be in 3 different states 3 times per week. And we're not going to local union halls. We're not talking to local leaders. We're going into workplaces where we represent. We start at 4 a.m, usually fly out on a Sunday night, be somewhere Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, back to D.C., and that could shift depending on what's going on. But we are trying to be in 3 different states, and we have been probably in more states in 3 years than any general president or general secretary treasurer has been in the history of the Teamsters. And we're in workplaces. We'll be at UPS at 4 a.m, be at a construction site at 7 a.m, be at a factory at 10 a.m, and the day just keeps going and going and going. And that's where we get, the best gauge on where our members are, the pulse of our members. And it's proven to work out well. I mean, we've got a election coming up, not much opposition, but getting to talk to your members and talking to people, and people want to see who's representing them. They don't want to see you on TV. They don't want to see you on a podcast. They don't want to see you. They want to see you in their workplace when they're there. And if we're there at midnight, people want to see that. And when they tell you their problem, you actually have an opportunity to fix it right then and there.
It's funny that you're like rise to like whatever, you've a level of fame obviously now, but like it's just a byproduct of like you working your ass off for the job that you like to do.
Yeah, the work ethic.
But that's what's funny. That, like, you know what I mean? Like there's a million people out there just trying to be TikTok famous or whatever.
This social media thing for me, like, and I always, I got to plug my podcast here, Better Bad Ideas by Sean O'Brien at Better Bad Ideas. This started as a result of, I was doing a lot of media when I was negotiating the UPS agreement, and the UPS agreement's a $30 billion deal, covers 340,000, largest collective bargaining agreement in the entire country and the labor movement. And so when I was doing that, and we had some tremendous leverage over UPS, I was doing a ton of media, like mainstream media, national media, and it was good. Very people were very receptive to the cause, and we do that with every campaign we have. But then when I spoke at the RNC, it took it to another level because, I started getting calls about going on to different podcasts. I've done Theo Vaughn, I've done Tucker Carlson, I've done Megyn Kelly. And so when we started, seeing how bad and one-sided mainstream media was, we're like, you know what? We're pretty influential. We've got a good narrative about working people. No one does that at all. Let's start collaborate and come up with the ideas. So myself, my girlfriend, my life partner, Christine, and one of my best friends, Danny Pascantilli, were like, hey, we should do this. We should think about doing this. And, we contacted a studio that does Bad Friends, 7X.
Oh, yeah.
Bad Friends.
That's great.
They've got like,
Lee and,
they do,
Santino.
Yeah, great show.
So they've got 5 shows. So at first, when it was, they were like, we're really not looking on to take any more shows on. We've got, 4 people that are in the top 15 of the country podcast. And like, all right. And then the one of the owners says, well, one of the producers, what is it? Says, oh, it's Sean O'Brien from the Teamsters. And you're like, wait, we got to get our people involved in this. So they, even though we were flirting with the idea, they actually kind of embraced when we said what we want to do. Like, this is going to be great. So, you know, we worked with them, negotiated a deal. Their studio's in Burbank, California. So we launched in January of 2025. Got some great sponsors. And we've been doing pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, it's like anything else. You know, you get down and out. I mean, you think having John Voight on, you'd get 100,000 views. You think on getting, you know, Justine Bateman on, you get 200,000 views. Whatever. It's like it's such a unpredictable flow.
Yeah.
But you know, we right off the rip, we got 11,000. Week one, we got 11,000 subscribers to YouTube and consistently been growing all the social media platforms. And I'm not good at that stuff. I'm just, you know, good at, you know, interviewing people and trying to, you know.
What I like about it, just because I listen to it every week, is that like what I like about the format is that like it's like there's so much fucked up shit in the news. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't know what's real and what's not, right?
It's
and when you're
crazy.
having those conversations, like, all right, this is coming from this person's like point of view, perspective, right? So like it's not filtered through like 16 different things and like misquoted or whatever, you know?
We got YouTube verified right off the rip, which was huge. And, you know, we're still trying to figure out the algorithm and the cross-pollination and stuff like that. But I'll tell you, it's fascinating how many people listen to podcasts because, you know, you look at what happened in the presidential election and you look at Trump did 44 podcasts, right? She did 4. Right. And you're trying to capture an audience, 18 to 35. And I look at it, that's the audience I'm trying to capture for the next generation of trade unionists, union people. So, you know, we're utilizing this as well as a platform to do that. But it's a lot of work. We film sometimes in Burbank. We film a lot of times in DC. We have a studio there. And then we film, we're in Boston at the convention center. They've got a great setup over there. So it's a lot of work. I still I'm 100% focused on my day job, which I probably work 100 hours a week, but I do all my research and thankfully we've got a great team. Christine does a great job in lining the people up, setting it all up. And, you know, I do most of my research when I'm on planes during my day job.
That's what I was just going to say. You must be on planes nonstop.
Yeah, I am, and in airports. And so I travel a ton, as you know. Travel a ton.
Yeah. Everybody should check it out. Listen to it every week. I listen to it every week.
What's your Instagram too? Teamsters Sean O'Brien?
It's Teamsters SOB.
Yeah.
SOB,
Teamsters
okay,
SOB.
yeah.
That's like the handle for everything. X, the Instagram. But we do have Better Bad Ideas has all the same platform. You know, we have an Instagram page, a TikTok page, a Facebook page, and whatever else is out there. I'm sure we have.
Yeah. Any big guests coming up?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have. We just finished with Vivek. RFK Jr. is committed to come on. We've got the next couple of weeks will be focused on local working people. We've got Tommy Mari, who took my job after I left, and we had workers from Republic that were on strike. That's still on strike. White collar crime syndicate known as Republic Waste. And then we have a working class gentleman out of Chicago, who's a bricklayer. He's got like 100,000 followers. The kid's phenomenal. So we're going to try and just focus on some local people, some working people, and then you know, we've got Mark Wahlberg's committed to come on. So you know, we every week it's different. It depends. Like for instance, the Vivek. Once we release that, then we have this lady wanting to come on. That's running for governor as a Democrat in Ohio. So it just all depends where we're at and what we're doing. I mean, Dana White, I called him up and I'm saying, hey, you want to come on my podcast? He goes, I'll do whatever you want me to do. I mean, we had him on. You would have thought that thing would have got 100,000 hits.
Yeah, seriously.
It only got like 1,400 on YouTube, but all the other social media platform, the shorts and everything, crushed it.
Yeah. See, I'm also like you. Like we put out our reels every week, right? And like stuff like that. But like, you know, there's no rhyme and reason. Like our biggest reel that ever went viral was my buddy Josh, the ironworker, telling a story about when he's working with these 2 black kids at South Station. He had to yell at like electrician, and it went bananas, right? And I'm like, I told Bitsy the day I cut it, I'm like, why am I even fucking cutting these fucking reels? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like the thing just went nuts. So you don't know. You
don't.
But yeah, it's that's why you got to talk to Mark Lewis. He knows what he's doing.
No. I've been on his show, and Mark's great. He knows all that cross collaboration and everything else. And, even our producers are like, because you always question yourself, like, is this good? Do people like it? Like when I'm in different states, I'm amazed at how many people say, hey, I listen to your podcast. That was great. And I'm like, really? You think so? And because we're our worst critics,
yeah.
And then you get people, why are you doing that? You trying to be a social media influencer? No, we're actually having conversations that aren't scripted and aren't leaning one way. And you're going to get an hour to an hour and a half of uninhibited conversation.
Real
I mean, like I
conversation.
said, like that whole, I came right in. It was open main. I went for a walk. I listened to like the second Justine Baby one. And I said to Maggie, my wife, I'm like, you got to listen to this. I'm like, so I think it's important.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like it's just like fluff.
Our first one we did was with a guy named Hassan Piker, who I didn't know. Our production company set us up with him. And, he's a complete, left person. But he's like the second largest podcaster on Twitch. And, my first show out of the gate, interviewing him, we got 142,000 views. It was crazy. And then, we're like, all right, this one's going to be great. Everybody bought into the show. We didn't realize views is just like someone clicking it for like
2 seconds.
2 seconds.
Yeah.
And but we're learning every day. We're learning how to get better at it and learning, what people want, what the appetite is. And like you said, you can have a guest that it's funny. Like Joe Rogan's been doing it so long. I mean, he's great.
Have you ever been on his?
No, but I think we are going to get on there at some point. Like I did Brian Callen. Brian Callen's actually a good friend. And Brian's like, Brian wants me to do his, and then we'll probably, do Rogan at some point in time. But we've had some interaction with Charlie Kirk. We've had some interaction with some other folks. But it's just a matter of, it's funny. People, this. I'll do your podcast if you do mine first.
Yeah.
And so when you do theirs first, you're not getting them back on yours for a long time.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like we're kind of learning that game too.
Yeah.
Well, all three of us are available if you want us on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, no.
We'll go out to Burbank
Listen,
tomorrow.
I gotta be honest with you.
I'll hop on a plane right now.
No. I'll be honest with you. Like I said to you two guys the other night, I'm like, I want you guys to come on my podcast. Like it'd be great. And then I can control the narrative and break Danny Gillis or Michael Gillis.
Mikey.
And no, I love it. I think it's great. And whenever you guys want, it'd be an honor and privilege to have better bad ideas.
Yeah, I love the show. We
You're
listen to it every
very
week
nice right now.
I'm being sincere. You know what's funny? I did the what's his name? Dan Tosh.
Oh yeah,
David Tosh,
So I did him 30 minutes, and it's funny. He doesn't do a whole lot of big, huge names, but the guy is awesome. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's got a whole platform, and I tell you, I had a blast doing that. He was great. Megyn Kelly was awesome. Theo Vaughn was probably the best experience because he's such a cool guy. Like he is, and my son Sean is, like you guys, aspiring to do different things, and I brought him down with me, and him and Sean will text.
Dude,
back and
I was going to
forth.
say it. Like, he treats him like
And
he's
he's a good
fucking
kid,
known
like-
forever.
And
It's awesome.
I'll text him. He'll text me right back. Like he's just a down to earth guy.
I knew a guy who met him. A friend of mine met him. Sat next to him on a plane. This is like probably 2020, 21, and he was like, he had like a smaller podcast, and he's like, dude, he's the fucking nicest guy I've ever met.
Yeah.
He's like, just talk to you, like shoot the shit, like coolest guy you ever met.
No, he's been good, and like my son, he texted him. He was down in Nashville. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna be down in Nashville, and Theo was like, yeah, I'm not gonna be around, but I'm gonna hook you up with 2 or 3 venues.
Gotta
Just
fuck
been
got
out.
him some jobs, yeah.
I mean, most people say they're gonna do something for you. 99% of them don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that guy's hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Well, not Sean Bryan Sr. because he said he was going to come on. He's like, I walked up to you, like, I'll come on. I'm like, he's like, can it be Sunday? I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
100%.
We had to
100%.
bump like Andrew Fontana for this, but
Yeah. Rats.
one of our buddies. All right, well, thank you very much
Appreciate
for
you
your
guys.
time.
Always a pleasure.
And yeah, we'll everybody check out Better Bad Ideas, and we'll like get obviously when we do this stuff. But yeah, and thank you very much once again. And next time you hear of Sean Bryan on the show, likely it will be Junior. So
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
yeah.
Man. Awesome.
all right,
Thanks, Sean.
thanks a lot.